Hey, so I know that some of y'all have been around my YouTube world for a while, and here and there, like one of my projects that I'm kind of starting, and we're just gonna see where it goes. So, my name's Taylor. For those that just haven't met me or not familiar, or don't know what's going on here, I've been a coffee fan for God knows how long. And I just really enjoy making coffees at home because you can make the coffee however you want to make it, and you can adjust the flavorings however you want to make it, and you can just make it to your liking. And I feel like you save money a lot that way because going like really risking fee that just isn't good. So I kind of wanted to start this series where I teach everybody how to make like simple that would be good for anybody and they would be easy for anybody to make. So today we're going to make a cookie butter flavored iced coffee. So for this coffee, you're going to need some coffee, obviously. I kind of brewed mine earlier and just put it in the fridge. You can use cold brew. You can brew it and put it in the fridge. You can use the already pre-made stuff. It's all up to you. I kind of just like using whatever I have at home. So mine may taste a little bit different because I'm using a caramel coffee that I brewed in my Keurig. And that's just what I use because that's what I had. So it may taste different, but I think it's still going to be good with the caramel pecans and cookie butter flavors. So I brewed about 12 ounces in the fridge earlier so it would get cold. Typically, I would have a jar, like a mason jar or a cup full of ice, but I kind of forgot to get my ice all set up because I use ice cube trays. So we're just going to do without ice today. So this is actually a Cafe Bustelo carton, like a glass. You know how they have like the Cafe Bustelo instant espresso in these glass jars. So that's what this is. But I like to reuse these as coffee cups. I don't know why. It makes for a good aesthetic. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to pour my coffee into my cup and try honey. So that was about 12 ounces of coffee. Our cookie. So you can use pretty much anything. You know, you can use your skinny syrup. You can use ceruvia. You can use Torani. I think there's like Mateo's. There's like a bunch of different cookie butter flavored coffee syrups out there. So there will be no editing with these videos because I kind of just like to have a real life stance on things. So the one that I have is by Ceruvia. I got it on the TikTok shop, I believe, but I'm pretty Amazon or get them at stores near you like TJ Maxx and Beals. So I'm doing the shirt because I am actually taking a GLP-1 shot. I'm on Wegovy. So I am trying to just make like healthier coffees, ones that don't have as much sugar. So that's what we're working with here. Now, I do have a tendency to like my coffees to have a good amount of flavoring. So, sorry, my eyes are all bugging out. Sorry with these contacts. But anyway, so I do like to have my coffee have lots of flavor. So I am going to do about 4 pumps into my coffee. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that should be. And then I'm going to my milk. So use like a sugar-free creamer, like a half and half, or, any type of milk really. So the milk that I have on hand, I think I just got it at the local grocery store, but it's like organic fat-free milk. I think it's kind of like, I don't know, like the lactate version. So I'm just going to use that. And I like my coffee to be between like having too much creamer and then having just enough, if that makes any sense. So I'll kind of just add it and we'll see when the color gets to my liking. So I think that's a good color. Straw, because I forgot to get that. Thought I was all prepared. So I got me a straw. I'm just going to give it a mix. Have everything combined. And then I like to do a little dollop of whipped cream on top of my iced coffees. I don't know why. I guess it's kind of like a cold foam. So that's what I'm going to do. You can use like the pre-made cold foam. You can make your own cold foam. You can use whipped cream. You could use the dairy-free whipped cream. It's kind of up to you. I'm just going to go in with the Friendly Farms from Aldi. They're extra creamy whipped cream, and I haven't opened this yet. So I like to just put a dollop on top of my iced coffee. So we're just going to do that. Probably about that much. That's what I like. Whipped cream really doesn't have a whole lot of calories, so I'm not really like overly concerned about it. Now, if I was putting like cream on top of my iced coffee, I might be a little bit worried about it. But I think I'm only putting like a dollop, so I'm not really that worried about it. So now we're just going to do a taste test. That's really good. Just enough cream, just enough flavor. So I think we're good. We're plenty good. So yeah, that's how you make a cookie butter iced coffee at home. So comment below if you've made this type of coffee. I can bet that a lot of people have. Comment different, you would kind of enhance it, or different things that you would do differently. I'm open to suggestions. But I call my coffee at the tiny house because I do live in a tiny house. Literally, it's a garage that is formulated into a one-bedroom apartment. So I have my living area, my kitchen, my bathroom, and then my bedroom in the back. So that's what this is. It's a tiny house. So I thought it'd be a cute idea to just be coffee at the tiny house, because that's where I usually do drink my coffee is at the house. So I thought that I would come up with like some coffee ideas, and I figured I'll talk about just some things that I'm interested in, because I can bet that there's other people out there that have the same interests that I do. And I figure this is a good way to, do some networking and make some friends and stuff like that. So that's kind of my goal here, is to, maybe get into like rhythm of things that I enjoy too, by other people watching my stuff and kind of their opinions and different things like that. So that's kind of what my hopes are here. I know that everybody has an opinion about things, but I just ask that, try not to be like too out there and too crazy with your opinion. That's all I ask. And just be kind and respectful to one another here. That's all that I ask too. So yeah, I guess about today is, kind of like some television that like I'm really interested in lately. I call this certain type of television trash TV. Like I'm a big trash TV person. Things that I consider TV would be like Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, anything like Bachelor Nation. I consider that to be trash TV. Love After Lockup, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, 90 Day Fiance, pretty much anything that's going to be so overly dramatic to an extent is what I consider like trash TV. Even some of like the old talk shows like Steve Wilkos and Jerry Springer, RIP, Maury Povich, Jeremy Kyle, which was a show that was on the air, kind of made it over to the Americas for a season and then got like that. I guess it's just kind of showing like the craziness that's out there and showing in real life situations and what they go through and what they deal with. So that's kind of what I enjoy about trash TV. So today we're going to talk about Love After Lockup. Now I have my little notes here, so I am going to be ad-libbing, but I'm also going to be just, looking at my notes also. Because I feel like it kind of helps me collect my thoughts better if I have some notes off of. Because otherwise I'm just going to sound like I'm some ADHD crazy person. And we don't want that. So, I'm going to give you a little intro on what Love After Lockup is and how like that. So Love After Lockup is a show that has it on me lately. I don't know what it is, but I started watching it, I don't know, ago is whenever I started it. Now, it's been going on since 2018, but I was kind of late to the party because I was trying to figure out like what app it was on. But I figured out that AMC and Peacock have it, so I was able to stream the whole thing, or I've been able to stream the whole thing since I've started watching it. So now I'm just going to give you a little bit of background. So Love After Lockup started in 2018, and it's been currently running for 7 seasons. It's a reality TV show on WeTV that follows partner is in jail, and it documents the relationship as the inmate is released from prison and they build a life. Me go wrong. That's what I always say. I always think in these types of situations, what could go wrong? So whether or not the relationship can survive being free, the person being out of jail, family issues, and integrating back into the world. We also see that there is questions of the genuinity of the relationship or if this person is a scam, which we do see that a lot. We do, have a tendency to wonder whenever we see these couples being paired up, is this guy just in it for the money that the girl is giving him, or is this girl just in it cash? There's always that question there, especially whenever you see some of the pairings. So, spin-offs within it, such as Love During Lockup and Life After Lockup, which highlight different stages of the journey. The show is set up, which can be really confusing if you haven't, I guess, watched the TV show. But how they have it set up is they have typically like a love after, well, how it started out originally was there was a Love After Lockup segment, which they showed the couple and then their person getting out of jail and kind of like them reuniting in the free world. And then kind of getting into what happens like after the person gets out of jail. So they'll usually have like a string of episodes about that specific event, like couples. So then after that, we get into Life After Lockup, which basically is what it says. So it kind of talks about couples, after they survive Love After Lockup, which up to Life After Lockup. There's a number of them that haven't survived because of a number of reasons. So then I want to say it was like season 3 or season 2. It was probably season 3. They introduced a segment called Love During Lockup, which they had couples, during their person being locked up and what they went through. So then there was a couple of different segments within a season. So each season would be like, I don't know, 50 some episodes long. So it's a lot to get through. I am on season 4 currently. Life After Lockup, it's episode 54 or something like that. So I've managed to kind of get through a lot of it in like a less amount of time because I've to it. So yeah, so right now I'm in Life After Lockup, and Brittany and Marcelino are back. So I'm kind of interested to see like what they're into, because the last time that I had gotten off with them, she was thinking about divorcing him because she found out that sorry if I'm spoiling any of this for anybody, but she had found out that Marcelino. So she was kind of hesitant about what she was going to do because she has kids with him and they have a house together and they have a life together. Moved down to Florida. Well, they had reunited. So I'm kind of interested to see like what's going to happen there. I'm going to take another coffee. Okay. So I'm kind of just going to make a video that was like too long for my intro video. I kind of want to keep my videos between 30 to 45 minutes long because I know that people have stuff to do, and I know that you can't sit there for like 2 hours and watch a video a lot of the time. Which is going to have a fair amount of people that put me on in the background and, listen to me while they clean or while they're at work. So hi, if you're doing that. So like I said, I'm going to aim to make my videos between 30 and I'm also going to try to get on a sister. I am uploading like once a week. Now, I'm not sure the day that's going to take place. I'm kind of going to make a plan for that and see what happens. So, like who the season 1 couples were on Love After Lockup. So the ones that I am covering today are actually Jonna and Garrett, Andrea and Lamar, Mary and Dominic, and Alla and James. Because I feel like there's a lot of different things going on with these couples, and I do have different things to say, different commentary about each one. So I just decided to cover those 4 couples. There's actually 6 couples in season 1. Do the final 2 couples on another video because like I said, I didn't want to make long that people have short attention spans and people have lives. So I figured that would be a place to start. The couple that I'm going to talk about is Jonna and Garrett. So Jonna DeGregoli and Garrett Tanner are the first couple that was introduced on Love After Lockup. So this couple kind of made me laugh because whenever Jonna was talking about Garrett, she says, "Oh, whenever I saw his picture, I was just thinking that's a hot mugshot." And that's what made her talk to him. And I just find that so hilarious. Like, it wasn't like, "Oh, this man has a great attitude," and "Oh, this man is so funny," and which if he was in jail, I'm not entirely sure about that. But it was funny that like the first thing that she says, I'm sorry, is that Garrett had a hot mugshot. So I was like, so this is how we're starting out. So for Felon, that's all I got to say about that. So they met on a pen pal website, but they knew each other. They were 12. I read up on this a little bit, and apparently Garrett and Jonna met at like a daycare whenever they were like 12 or something like that. So they've known each other for a while, and then they just happened to like reconnect in like an interesting way. So they did seem like a good couple at first, despite Jonna's dad not approving of Garrett. Jonna's dad was just not on board with Garrett. He was afraid that he was afraid that, he was going to cheat on Jonna, and what the status of like essentially be prior status, which I think that's a worry that pretty much every parent has. Sorry, I need to adjust my seat. I think that's a worry whenever they're in this type of situation is this person going to continue to do right whenever they get out in the free world, or are they going to go back to what they used to do? So I think it's a legitimate concern. So they seemed like a good couple at first. So Garrett served a 7-year sentence for burglary and theft, which, hey, I can understand now why the dad did have his concerns about Garrett. So the couple got engaged on the show, but they didn't last. Segment was not too long. I think they were only on for like a couple of episodes, possibly, and then the couple got engaged, but they didn't last. They separated in 2018. It was actually cheated on Jonna 3 months after he got out of jail and whenever he moved in with Jonna. So, there was some times where Jonna was kind of worried about what Garrett could have possibly been up to, because he was partying all night with his friends and then coming home at 7 a.m, like on her birthday, which, obviously I would be upset too if my boyfriend did that type of thing. And I'd be thinking a million different things too, because #anxiety, but that's just me. So I completely understand what Jonna's concerns were. And now to find out that he was actually cheating on her 3 months after getting out, it kind of all makes sense as to what she could have been concerned about. So after their little segment, Jonna moved to Austin, Texas, and Garrett got with another girl and they had a baby. So from what I read online, Garrett is doing better. He hasn't, gone back to his ways, and he's kind of settled down, which is good. And it's good to see that Jonna is doing well too, from what I've read anyway. So the second couple that I'm going to talk about is Andrea and Lamar, which I was trying to understand this couple the whole time, because Andrea was like a strict Mormon, and then Lamar, he was kind of rough. He kind of came from the streets. So I was trying to understand how these two found each other and how these two did to work. Lamar was in jail for armed robbery, serving an 18-year sentence. So he was in. So that's kind of interesting, especially considering Andrea's background, that these two would be a couple. So it was Andrea Chantel and Lamar Jackson. Andrea is a Mormon. She originally contacted Lamar to do missionary work and teach him about the Book of Mormon. Their relationship evolved from this goal, and they connected through letters and fell in love. So the whole time, Andrea is on, him to like be a Mormon and convert to Mormonism, because her and her family are Mormons, and like her group of Mormons. And if I remember right, Andrea didn't even like introduce him as like a former felon whenever she telling all of her friends about him. So she was even like a little bit skeptical as to like how this whole thing was going to go. But they connected through letters and they fell in love, which I do find kind of surprising considering the fact that he had no interest in converting to being a Mormon, and she was constantly pushing this idea onto him. So I'm surprised that they lasted as long as they did, honestly. They had a lot going on during their lockup on to do later seasons of Life After Lockup. They had issues between Andrea's kids being fearful for their mom's safety, and when who's Lamar's daughter and Lamar's baby mama show up at a party where Andrea is at. There was always a lot of conflict with this couple. I remember. Andrea was very controlling and Lamar was just really like laid back. And usually you think like opposites attract, but like with these two, they just did not work out. Andrea had to have things done like a certain way, and she would get mad, whenever Shantae would show up with like the baby mama. But like that's kind of all a part of Lamar's life, and you kind of just have to like deal, especially whenever you have, kids involved and like different baby mamas and different baby daddies. Like you have to, you know, be chill about it. And Andrea had like no chill. I specifically remember an episode where really like cornering him, about to like attack him. And they were just in like a very aggressive looking fight that I thought that they were easily going to fight each other. But they didn't end up laying a hand on one another, which was quite surprising. But they looked like they were going to go fight a few times. So I'm just really surprised, like I said, that this couple lasted as long as they did, considering her values and his values and came from. So, like I said, just very surprised. So the next couple I'm going to talk about was Mary and Dominic, which honestly, I don't even remember that much about this couple because just kind of not very interesting. I hate to say it. But they were one of the couple to, kind of talk about them if I'm going to talk about the show. But honestly, I don't remember a lot about this couple. I think they may have been on for like an episode or two and then they were done. So Mary and Dominic. So Dominic Delanora served time in prison for aggravated assault. They reunited as a couple when Dominic was released from prison and Mary was in a rush to get married. So, Dominic is getting out of prison. He's getting ready to go to the halfway house. He's getting ready to finish up, his time on, like he has to like, continue to stay clean and he has to continue to focus just like a good path so he doesn't go back to jail. And I just feel like Mary was just like pressuring him a lot. And I get it. They were dating for like a few years and she just really wanted to get married and stuff like that. And I get that, that she wanted to get married, but he had a lot going on. She really needed to be, I feel like, more focused on just making sure that he was staying on a good path before they got married. And I just feel like there was always like friction between them because Mary wanted to get married and then Dominic he was very closed off emotionally. Like, I'm not even going to lie, which I feel are closed off emotionally. That's just my opinion. But this man was in jail for like a while. That would explain why he's, feeling different about being in the real world. Like I said, the couple did fight a lot due to Dominic being closed off emotionally. They do get married on a boat, and then they wish that they could do it all over again, which, if I remember right, they did get married kind of quick because I think Dominic did eventually like give in to her. Um, so it was probably not the best idea. I don't know. I don't remember reading if this couple is still together. So if anyone has any updates on that, you can post it down below in the comments. But I don't think this couple is still together. But correct me if I'm wrong. Couple was still together because of how much they argued during their like little bit of time on the show. So the couple I'm going to talk about, Alla and James. I don't actually remember a lot about these people as well because I think that they were not on it that long either. But like I said, as being in the Love After Lockup realm, I need to discuss them. So I'm kind of just giving you some info about them. So Alla Sobotina, excuse me if I pronounce that wrong, was sentenced to 5 years in prison for selling and possessing heroin. Sorry if I'm discussing things that you on YouTube, but I'm just mentioning, the facts here. Returned to jail times following her release due to parole violations, which include testing positive for leaving the state and retail theft. So she was like a habitual offender. There was more than one time that she had gotten in trouble with the law, which it was probably due to the fact that she had a hard time staying clean. So that kind of goes hand in hand, it seems like. So there was a lot of issues with this couple, I remember, too, because, James kind of kept Alla like a secret from his family because he didn't want them to know that she, had stuff, which I get that. But in the same regard, should be honest with about what's going on in your life and the people that you have in your life. So he was kind of held up about being honest with his family about where Alla was really from. So there was a lot that just kind of like happened on this show too, if I remember right. Alla thought that she was pregnant once, and friends were constantly worried about Alla and her addiction resurfacing, which James kind of kept like a positive vibe about the whole thing throughout his whole time. Very just like positive that Alla was going to stay clean and she was going to do what she needed to do to stay on the which I'm glad, that James did have a lot of faith in her because I think that they had a lot of people that were what was going. It was good that, James was there and he was all for he was all for supporting Alla and, making sure that she would be on the straight and narrow path. So unfortunately, the couple did not last. And unfortunately, Alla passed away at age 31 because of her addiction. So unfortunately, their story did not have the best ending, but it also was good though to see just how positive Jane about, about Alice staying on the straight and narrow path. So that's kind of all that I have for today. To make my like 30 to 45 minutes long, just because I know that we all have busy lives. So yeah, comment and let me know about how you would enhance my different coffees and what you could do to make it better. Let me know what I could do to make my videos better. This was kind of just like something that I wanted to try. My videos are going to be set up this way where I get on, I teach you how to make a coffee at home, and then I kind of get into a topic. So I think my next video, like I said, I kind of have a plan for my next video. It's just going to be covering some more Love Up. I said this is kind of like an interest that I have right now. And I know that there's plenty of other people that have this same interest. So I'm going to do a couple of videos on Love After Lockup, and then I'm going to get into some of the other trash TV that I thoroughly enjoy because I definitely commentary on these different, trash TV shows. So if you could just like, comment, and subscribe, and just drop a comment, leave me some love, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.